You've got to use this thing here as your tool because it's being used against you, right? If more police departments, officers like you, come on podcasts like this, okay? By the time I'm done all my marketing, this is probably going to reach 4, maybe 5, maybe 10,000 people.
Okay.
Right? Those 10,000 people might spread it to other people. If more officers were to come on and just have a candid conversation with, we're citizens. I've had bad interactions with police. Keith has bad interactions with police. Mm-hmm. Everybody has.
Not me as much because I'm white. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean,
do I get anxiety when a uniformed police officer approaches me? You're goddamn right. Mm-hmm. And do I have anxiety now? No, because you're sitting back, relaxed. We're having a casual conversation.
But is it because I'm not in uniform, or is it because
it's because I'm seeing you in a different light,
seeing you as a person and not as a authority
figure? And if more people, I'll give you. So the neighborhood that I grew up in Jefferson Village, right? We used to have this in Falls Church, right? We used to have this officer that came by. It was 2 of them that used to come by, right? They would just drive around all the time. We would be playing basketball, and they would just pull up. They wouldn't pull up with their cruiser. They would park their cruiser down the street, right, and then just walk up to us.
With what intention? Like, what was the purpose?
Just walk up.
Okay.
What's going on, fellas?
White or black?
Black.
Okay. 2
black officers.
Okay.
McLean.
They would just call. They would just walk up and be like, "What's up, fellas? What's going on? Blah blah blah. What y'all doing?" And they would start shooting ball with us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They would just walk around, talk to us. But you know what? In our neighborhood, it was high gang, high crime, high drugs. Whenever something happened in our neighborhood and they needed something,
right,
they could walk up on us,
right,
and ask, and we would tell them.
That's
why?
Community policing.
Why? Because because now we saw those police officers as people, not police officers.
And do you think that's gone away? Sorry to interrupt, because I think you and I talked about that a while ago. Like
the us versus them.
No. That there isn't that as policing has changed. There's not as much community policing as much as just enforcement.
We would like. I'm being honest here. We would like for there to be more interactions, and we do have units that are dedicated to community policing, but our resources are scarce. Mm-hmm. Our manpower is even more scarce. The interactions that a lot of police officers have in the community are generally not positive.
No, they're not.
We don't have, again, agency secrets. We don't have the manpower that we used to have. Our numbers are not nearly what they should be. And that's for a number of reasons. Officers resigning, officers retiring, officers finding other departments to go to. To speak to your point about them interacting with you, we used to have that. And that is great community policing. That's why I asked you, what was their intention? Were they trying to catch you, or were they trying to interact with you? And it sounds to me it was a positive. It was an interaction. Yeah. These are the guys, you knew these guys, you trusted these guys, and that is how it should be. That is, in an ideal world, the community and the police, they work together. Unfortunately, that is not the reality that we have. We go into communities now, and it's usually because something bad happened. We don't get to patrol or interact with the community like we would like to, because we're constantly chasing calls for service, meaning someone calls the police, we go to that call. Officers are chasing calls all day long. If you've got 4 officers assigned to one area and they're constantly chasing calls, how do they get to walk on the basketball court and talk to you? They don't have time.
No.
They because she's calling because her coffee's cold.
I know. I want people to get it right.
We do get calls we get calls for people's dogs barking. We get calls for someone's dog is in their yard and they want us to come. I mean, I could go on for days for the type of calls that we get.
Shouldn't there
Is 311 and this is in DC?
Mm-hmm.
Does that still get routed to the police departments or?
There's no 311 anymore. It's just
Oh,
911.
really?
It's just and all the 311 calls would get routed to 911
Okay.
anyway. So they they disseminate.
What's
That's
311?
311 is a
non-emergency.
non-emergency.
311, I've used it. So, example, 11th Street, there was a lady. She is clearly either mentally challenged or on something. She's dancing out in the traffic in the middle of the
Is she
street.
clothed or
Does she?
unclothed?
About to say.
But she was clothed in a very small, like, hot pink tube dress. I remember this.
So we would call that a mental health concern.
And I called 311 because I was like, this is not 911. But I was concerned about her getting hit
Right.
or her causing an accident, right? And so I just said, listen, this is the lady. This is what she's wearing. She's in the middle of 11th at Gerard, and she's dancing around the street. Someone's going to get hurt, right? But now I no longer have that number. So, like, it could escalate into an emergency, but it's not really. So 311 was for something like that.
Non-emergency.
Yeah,
Non-emergency.
exactly. Like, it's,
It's not life or
we,
death
we
immediately.
would get that call. It would go to 911.
Now,
and then,
okay,
And when my officers get that call, it'll come out as mental health consumer. They'll give a description of what she's wearing at what location, 11th and whatever. And they go there. They'll interact with her. They'll determine whether or not she's a danger to herself or to other people.
And I think they did send some. I was just
If
wondering if
she's
311 was still a
Yeah,
real thing.
And just if she's a danger to herself or other people, we would take her to a psychiatric facility where they would hold her for 3 days. That's how we would deal with that call. If we determine she's, sound or of sound body and mind, we would just say, "Hey, Miss So and So, you need to get out of the street.
Let's
okay?
dance on the
Or
sidewalk,
lose it.
girl."
Or you know what?
So I've got a question for our youngest guest,
Get ready.
Miss Gabby.
Get ready, kid.
Pull that mic to you for a second.
Do us proud, kid.
So I have a question. So you're young, right? How do you view the police?
My dad taught me.
No, not what your dad.
Hey,
Forget what your dad.
Get closer.
He's biased.
get closer to the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really view them in a certain way. It really depends on how they if they're how they are around me. Like in my neighborhood we have some crime sometimes, and we have a lot of police coming in and out of our neighborhood.
Oh God, a kid.
So and a couple times they've come up to me, and they've always been really nice. So I see them as nice, but sometimes they're more serious, and then that's when I get a little scared.
So real quick though, little background with that.
We have a crazy kid in our neighborhood.
Right, he's not a kid. He's
Oh,
he's old. He's 21. He's EDP, emotional third person. But some things could be worked out with him and his family. His mom just kind of lets him run away with it. So the cops, at least, it used to be a time we had him there twice a week for him.
Okay.
Not twice a week. It was every day.
Right,
almost.
and then it
For,
slowed down to once a week. So then last summer, they went out of town to Pittsburgh with their mom and grandma, and I was alone in the house. And I work a lot of crazy hours, and I'm in the house, and I thought I heard something. I was like, nah, I didn't hear that, because we live in a nice neighborhood. I'm like, no, I didn't hear that. About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, about the time the kids would be outside playing. I showed you the video. I just think I got the video.
And then
I'll go outside because I'm
because
like,
I texted him. I
yeah,
was like,
she
hey, Daddy,
woke me
you
up.
good?
She woke me up. I was like, what do you mean am I good? Also, to another full disclosure, she knows I carry a weapon all the time.
Okay.
Concealed carry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she woke me up. She's like, there was a shooting. I was like, a what? She's like, right outside the house. Like, bullshit.
The only reason I knew is because our neighbor has a Ring doorbell camera, and my friends had just come and knocked on their door to see if they could play, and they were still outside when it happened. So then my mom's friend sent the video to my mom, and they were screaming and running and hiding because they were terrified.
They didn't even scream at first. It was a typical nice neighborhood reaction. These kids were, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My son and daughter would have been outside, no question. That's what they did every day in the summertime. And you see the two little white kids, and they're knocking on the door, and all of a sudden you hear pop, and they just kind of
Because they didn't think it was
pop,
at
pop, pop,
first.
and then what happens is this kid, the EDP kid, the Morrisburg kid, had some friends or somebody he took some drugs or something from, and they decided to come to the neighborhood and shoot at his house. Now, yeah, like 6 houses down from mine, 6, 7 houses down from mine.
Wow.
And like my kids are I don't well I know you said don't tell them what my dad says still, but you know I don't teach them to. It's funny you said I got a bias. No, I'm not being funny. I don't think we have biases. I think you're led. You're a product of your interactions with whatever section of society you're in.
Your predispositions.
Right.
Yeah.
I've spoken about it before. Dr. Joyce DeGruy talks about PTSD, but not the way we think about it. She talks about it. She calls it post-traumatic slave disorder, but she says there's other words to be used for it, as far as minority community, blacks, or whatever minority community you're from. We carry that trauma and pass down through certain things, right? I look at my kids and I don't see that so much that what I had from me, because like Pat.
Yeah, I want to actually touch that. Go ahead.
Go.
No, the reason why I want to touch that is I believe that, and I'm going to talk to you, Gabby, because I believe that we're in our own echo chambers, right? So we're in our own circles a lot, and we hear what we want to hear, right? So I'm just curious. You know, you're 13.
14.
So you're 14, right? So you're on TikTok, right?
No, my father won't let me have it.
But she be
good.
snapbooking.
Yeah.
Snapchat.
Snapbooking.
He's just trying to be funny.
So obviously because Keith limits that exposure, which is not usual, because most parents are allowing their 14-year-olds to get into that echo chamber. So she's not exposed to the echo chamber of the noise that's happening on social media.
Well, she does have Snapchat.
But wait, don't your friends have TikTok? I know you've seen a TikTok video.
Oh, she has.
Yes.
I got them.
Oh, you just
me
make
and her
sure
sitting down. We watch it.
you watch your own rabbit holes together. I got you.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say this is because, you know, I have, man, I'm gonna so get canceled for this damn comment, but I will tell you, and this is pro police, right? The reason why I personally have not gotten too many bad interactions with police is because I act right. Okay,
I got you.
I know for a fact when you pull me over, there's a reason why you're pulling me over, because I'm probably doing something wrong, because I got a big ass lead foot. Okay, I speed everywhere I go. Okay. So I know I've got a lead foot, and I've calmed down in my older years. But, you know, like I said, I drive around with a 0% tint. I speed a lot. I got loud music.
You live on the edge.
You know, I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge.
Right.
But also, I understand that when a police officer comes at me, okay, they're coming at me for a reason. So when I get pulled over, because I know that I've got 0% tint, they cannot see in my car, I am not trying to get shot today. So I'm going to roll down my windows. I'm going to put my hands on the steering wheel, and I'm going to be looking forward. I'm not even going to turn my neck until he addresses me. As soon as he addresses me, I'll be like, boom, boom, boom. And I'll let him know exactly what I'm doing. Officer, I'm about to reach in my glove box. Is it for my registration?
Yeah,
Are
I mean,
you
as
okay? Are
a
you okay with
white
that?
girl, I still ask that cop, "Can I reach for
yeah.
my Easy Pass?"
Are
I'm not
you
gonna be like, "What?"
are you okay with that?
We call that telegraphing.
So I understand that. Look, police officers live in a world of anxiety. So because they have no idea what they're walking into. I saw a video one time. Cop just pulls up to the guy, a state trooper, right? His dash cam was rolling. Pulls up to him, asks the guy for his license. Guy rolls the window down. Pop, pop, pop.
Right.
It's happened many times.
So I understand. You see, me as a person, there's personal responsibility that citizens have to adhere to their own behaviors. If a cop is going to I wish one of you cats would violate my rights, because I need some money.
Oh, beating.
I wish
Oh my
when you.
God.
I swear to God, I wish. I
Well,
hope. I am hoping
Beat
for
me
the
down.
day.
No.
I am hoping for the day I get pulled over and a cop violate my rights.
Ooh, let me
because I'm gonna sue the shit out of them. So I need some money.
That actually leads me to this is a very controversial question, and you don't even have to answer it if you don't have an answer. Do you think when departments give big payouts and it's televised, does that make people want to find ways to sue the police?
Yes, absolutely. There was, I was thinking about this on my way here. There was a guy, he used to make viral videos of, and he was in the 3rd district. He used to, I don't want to say 18th Street, and I don't know his name or his channel or whatever, but he would purposely go up to officers and antagonize them and video it.
First they call them the auditors, the First Amendment auditors.
And there are people who
Mind you, they were white guys,
intentionally, he's a black guy,
What?
intentionally do things to provoke the police with the intention of maybe if this goes wrong, I will get a payout. I will get this. I will get that. So officers are constantly tested on their patience, on their resilience, on their just overall just I don't want to say complacency, but just being calm under certain stressful situations. And that those payouts are broadcast to the media for not for us, but for the world to see that, hey, look, these officers did wrong. We're compensating the family, or
And I'm just wondering if I'm not saying you shouldn't compensate the families, but maybe that needs to be the amount.
But we kind of dived
cap.
away from it because we got into the mental health thing about how to deal with the mental health consumer. But I wanted to go back to these cooperative, because you brought up cooperation and compliance. And again, I didn't know. I knew I was coming on this podcast, so I had a couple of things I wanted to speak about. Compliance and cooperation, and this is from a black man's standpoint.
Yes.
It does not mean submissive. It does not mean you're passive. It doesn't mean that you are less of a man. And we talk, and we didn't really get into this like I really wanted to, but
What was coming?
we talk about these incidents where these black men are being killed at the hands of law enforcement, and a lot of it could be avoided if they simply comply and cooperate. And I think there's this message of, oh, you're not going to do that to me. I'm this, I'm so and so, or you violating my rights, or blah blah blah. And it's like, no, the officer's doing his job. And let's say, Pat, the officer does violate your rights. Let's say you are falsely arrested. Let's say that, God forbid, it's excessive force to some extent. You are not going to win that battle on the street.
No.
You are not going to win, and I'm going to say that again. You are not going to win on the street. We have radios.
Mm-hmm.
We have equipment on our belt. We can call more people in to hurt you if you're resisting. If you're doing so, you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, we're the police, we're the badass. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying it because that is not the time and place to voice your fight.
Yep.
That is not the time and place to voice your argument. If you get falsely arrested, the officer will have to answer for that.
Yep.
If there is something, and even more so in today's times, and we talked about this earlier, there are body-worn cameras. They capture everything. People are even sometimes getting traffic stops and they're turning their phones on. So you've got even more footage of what happens. So if something wrong happens, it will be captured. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, if the officer does this, he's absolutely going to get punished for it. I'm not saying it's a perfect system. I'm just saying that if you cooperate, you stand more of a chance of getting out of this incident without harm, without death, without maybe sometimes without even punishment, sometimes with just a warning.
I got to play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Of course.
Go ahead.
Because, you did say the accountability, cooperation, and I totally agree with you in that manner.
Sure.
And totally agree with Pat said. A lot of times, the initial part of the interaction that I might have had negative was something stupid I did on my part. Younger.
Sure.
Thank goodness we survived. But devil's advocate of that, we have. I'm not, and again, I get what you're saying about the submissive part, but I think a lot of us are just ultra defensive when it comes to, when somebody, like, honestly, when you said just cooperate, because that's what we hear. I didn't hear you say try to cooperate. The hackles on my back just instantly jumped and said just cooperate, because you hear that, and you hear that from a certain segment of society where it sounds a lot like gaslighting, right?
Yeah.
And then with the devil's advocate,
like just do as you told, boy.
Right.
I understand.
Right.
I'm black. I get
Right.
it.
Oh, no.
I
Yeah.
completely understand your standpoint. I'm just saying that to avoid a lot of these incidents, and the common theme, and I've said this to so many people, no one looks at what happened before that guy got killed. No one looks at what happened before the excessive force happened.
Okay.
No one looks at, well, was he supposed to be selling cigarettes like that? Was he why didn't he cooperate? Or was he supposed to be rolling around in that car with the dead tags? And when the officer asked him to get out of the car, and he refused, and he did, and then it leads to this, and then one thing leads to this, and then we're dealing with the aftermath, and the aftermath is what's making the news, and the aftermath is what upsets me as a police officer. That's all we look at is the aftermath. I interrupted you.
No, you weren't. I'll go back to it.
I'm going to
Don't
go
worry.
back to George Floyd, which I know is a extremely heated subject for even me as a police officer. I hate what happened to him. But George Floyd was doing something wrong before all of that stuff happened.
Allegedly.
George Floyd was on narcotics. I don't know if anybody knows that, which led to his behavior, which led to him behaving the way he did, which led to the officers interacting with him the way that they did. A lot of these incidents, not only is it lack of cooperation, but it is under the influence.
Understand?
I think where I draw the distinction is the excessiveness.
Well, it's not even that. Where I draw the distinction is saying this, because I wanted to talk about one other incident. I want to talk about the Philando Castile incident because we talked about the conversation.
That's a good case.
I can see
That's
wheels
a great
turning
case.
that.
That's a
but
great case. That's
as
a
far
good-
as the George
good
Floyd
subject.
and a lot of these situations, right? It's I think the reason we only see the aftermath, and it's not just the media, it's that because when we look at the initial aspect of why this interaction took place, or why did this person not cooperate? What led to them not cooperating? Well, what led to them actually being the interaction in the first place? We said we always kind of go back and say, "Damn," because this person sold cigarettes, he's dead. Or we say, "Damn," because this person didn't respond to the way the officer wanted. Whatever it is. Instead of looking, the reason we only look at that part because we're trying to say this does whatever that is. Didn't need to go to death.
I completely agree with you.
Let me ask this.
I completely agree with you.
Let's take the race part. Well, we're not taking the race part out, but let's say, because people say, well, if you're black, you're more likely to end up dead at the hands of the police than if you're white, and there's statistics that show that. In your experience or whatever, do you think? I mean, and this may be bad in DC, but I'm thinking of if you're in Appalachia, where there's a lot of white people who are on meth. Okay, that's just how it is. What are their interactions like, and how many of them might end up dead because it escalates the same way? I mean, is there anything that you can speak to? Yeah,
I can't. I don't know what they do in Appalachia.
I don't know. I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
I can
you don't
only
cross that
attest
bridge,
I
right?
can only
You don't
attest
cross
to-
the bridge. No, it's funny you said because I was just about to say.
I'm taking the socioeconomic part of it, right? Because okay, let's say you got a guy in all he's white, he's wearing camouflage, he fits the stereotype of like a Unabomber.
Okay.
Is he gonna get a little bit more pulled over, the same as the guy who's rolling back?
Where's he at?
I guess
The
he's got.
question
What if he
is,
comes
where-
into DC? What if he
As
comes
hold
into
on,
DC?
hold on. As opposed to the black man who is dressed in a really nice suit, driving a nice car, where it all fits together. Sometimes it's socioeconomic more than just racial, right? Where
Absolutely.
things
Depends on where you're at.
fit together looks wise.
If you're in the
a way.
Appalachians and you see a black guy in a suit, you're going to be stared at because that's not the common
Oh well,
thing.
nobody. Yeah, and
You know what I mean? But they're used to seeing the guy in the camouflage. They're not going to pay him any attention.
But
I think I'm
one
going
day-
to answer. I think I'm going to answer this because,
Go ahead.
and oh man, I hate.
sure
to get,
you-
hate to get into
I mean,
politics.
you know-
hate to get into politics.
I'll take the heat.
Do it.
I hate to get into politics, but my mom and I were watching January 6th,
Whoa.
and when both her and I, we were like, I'm telling my mom, don't worry, the cops are coming in no time, quick, they're coming. And after about an hour of that nonsense, I said to myself, man, let that be like
JoJo and them.
500. Let that be 500 Tyrones coming up there with gas canisters, face masks, and bombs and running. Every Tyrone would have gotten pieced out. Every single one of them would have gotten pieced out. And I would. Andre, you cannot tell me, damn it, you are a police officer, and if you tell me that if 500 Tyrones wouldn't have raided that damn Capitol building, and every single one of them cats wouldn't have been dead.
I'm not gonna deny that you're not telling the truth. You are. Can we say that incident might not have been different had the race of those people been handled?
No question.
Absolutely.
No. So, but I will, since I'm privy to a little bit of information. Capitol Police, sorry, you're a guy who wrote in. They mishandled that.
Oh yeah.
They mishandled that, and then they called us.
Mm-hmm.
When I say us, I mean the Metropolitan Police Department, Washington D.C. We are the real police in this city. We are the only police in the city. Police call us when they need the police. So I'm proud to say that, but that's just the reality of it. And we got called into a situation that was poorly handled, mismanaged, and they called us for backup basically because they were overrun. And by the time a situation is overrun, it is chaos and it's anarchy at that point. And what happened, and people died that day on both sides. Both sides.
Yep.
People died that day. Did that incident have to happen? Absolutely not.
No.
It could have been avoided. It could have been avoided with better planning. And the thing is, and I'm sorry to throw them on the bus, Capitol knew they were coming. They knew they were coming, and they underestimated what would happen or the potential for what would happen. I will say I'm proud of my police department. We bring it. I'm not saying bring it in the sense that we bring violence. We bring it in the sense that we are prepared. We actually over-prepare for a lot of things. They cancel days off. They put us on 12-hour shifts, Patricia will tell you.
I mean, y'all been preparing since 2020, correct?
We've been preparing, since Seattle IMF. 2000.
Oh, yeah.
IMF 2000, Seattle, Washington set the precedent for our department to recognize that we will not let that happen to our city.
Yeah.
So whenever there's potential for violence or chaos or riots, we are on top of it. Like if there's one of them, there's four of us. That's how our department.
Numbers.
So can I ask a terrible question?
Sure, of course.
Is it? I don't know if this would be it. I don't want to make it personal for your opinion. Oh, sorry. Do you think that it was possibly because you were saying that you were more prepared, which I can agree with? Do you think they? I hate to say it this way. It's going to sound horrible.
Sometimes you have to just say it.
It's going to sound horrible. So because of the race of the people that were there, was it thought that there wasn't going to be violence?
No.
To that extent?
They
thought there was going to be violence.
They underestimated
the amount of violence.
The amount of violence that could occur.
Okay.
Whereas my department would not underestimate the amount of violence that, regardless of the race of the people.
Right.
It could be Tyrone. It could be Jose. It could be whoever. We are going to respond with a police action based on the potential for what could happen, not the people that are involved. The potential for what could happen in that race.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I was quite shocked watching it.
Oh hell yeah!
When you get a mob together,
but I didn't.
Would it have been safe to say that? So what are you putting it? Because I got a two-part of this.
Sure.
Would it be safe to say that you all would have responded in a manner that it wouldn't have got to the point where the violence on their part?
They would not have made it to the damn gates.
Perfect.
They wouldn't have made it to the steps if we were there.
They would have made it
They
off the
would have
rally,
been
right?
stopped a block away.
As soon as Trump finished his speech,
they would have never been that close to the Capitol if we were involved. But it's their jurisdiction.
Probably wouldn't even been in the city.
So this is the thing. You are allowed to demonstrate. You are allowed to protest. We even assist people. One thing people don't know about our department, we assist people with protests all the time. They have First Amendment rights that we have revamped our whole strategy and department around people wanting to protest, and we let you do it. You want to have your signs, you want to protest this, whatever your cause is, we are there to support you. When you turn violent, that's when we get involved, and that's when we do more than we need to. We take care of the problem, and we're involved in planning. If they were coming to the Capitol to protest, we would have been involved in a month's worth of planning and being prepared and having the adequate manpower there to stop whatever could potentially happen.
Right.
So unfortunately, I'm sorry, Capitol, but they dropped the ball on that.
Quick
situation.
question: are there more Capitol Police versus which ones? Which organization is bigger? In
I
terms
wish
of
I
amount of
knew
people.
the answer to that. I
Okay.
don't know.
I was just
I don't know
curious.
the Capitol Police manpower numbers. I really,
okay.
I only know.
I just didn't know if they were had a smaller.
I would assume.
I was
honestly,
thinking,
I would
yeah.
assume that we are a larger police department than they
Yeah,
are because they have a smaller area to cover.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Why didn't they have have you guys as backup anyway? Because if we only have, let's say, 100, I'm just throwing this out.
Yeah.
100, and you have 1,000, it would make more sense that you would take 500 of those people as backup just on the outside perimeter, just like, hey, we don't know what's happening.
I agree.
You know,
with
we're gonna have these people here, so how about half of you guys just come do the 5 blocks behind our perimeter?
They cannot. That's what he said. They cannot say that they didn't know what was coming or what was happening.
No.
They didn't-
The Capitol Police
Not-
are about 2,200, 2,249.
We're
Really?
probably closer to 3,000, so they're probably right there. I didn't know that they
They're
had
right
that many.
there.
That's a great.
I didn't know
That's
they
a
had
lot.
that many.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of Capitol
Well,
Police. Right?
since you guys are talking about police numbers, there are probably 30 to 40 agencies in this city.
Yeah, okay.
Really?
You would think that DC would be the safest city in the whole world, but it's not. We have Mint Police, you have agricultural police, you have FBI police. I'm just giving you examples. You have Metro Transit Police.
Postal
You have,
Police.
you have,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
You have postal. You have all types
Wildlife.
of agencies. Yeah, you do. You
Metro.
have, you have zoological police. You
Yes.
have park police.
Park
You have
police,
two
yeah.
You have two forms of park police in our city. You would think that we would be the safest city in the world, but unfortunately, we do have things that happen here. All of those agencies that, including the ones that you all just listed, they call us. Just so you guys know, that's the amount of volume of stuff that we and stuff that we deal with. When something bad happens in the city, they call us.
3,000 police officers. How many police officers do you think would really need the city? You say it's like understaffed right now, right?
We are understaffed.
How many police officers do you think would
4,000.
be 4,000 would be perfect?
Honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you're policing a city of over 500,000.
So
But
I-
not all 4,000 or 3,000 are on the streets patrolling.
Right.
We have
You got support.
we have detectives. We have different agencies. I'm sorry. We have different divisions. We have investigative divisions. So split that into half as far as uniform, and then divide that into specialized. Yeah, we have a SWAT team. We have a harbor patrol. We have a canine patrol. We have all different types of.
Yeah, and I don't know if that
divisions.
Capitol Police includes, 2249 could be, people who are doing desk jobs in there. I didn't
Yeah,
get
Right.
that
it
far.
could be that too.
So,
the actual numbers of uniform officers or Capitol Patrol, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
So our youngest member has a question. Gabby?
Sure.
Just don't.
Can I ask
Yeah,
one
you
for
ask
them?
it. You ask
Absolutely.
it. You got to read your own writing. I
Well,
can't just. Good.
I have 2 questions.
Get to-
Oh, sorry. I have 2 questions. One of them was, were you like one of the officers at the January 6th attack?
No, I wasn't there, but I have friends that were there.
And then my other one was, what was it like for the police, like the weeks following?
I thought it was
Great question.
That-
That's a great question.
Wow,
My
great
niece is
question.
everything, just so y'all know.
That's fine.
That is a great
That's the
question.
fruit of my loins.
So to answer that question, it goes along with a lot of other major incidents that have happened that affect our department. We're put on what's called high alert, and basically we need all officers to be on duty, pretty much dedicated to in case something else happens. So when you have officers that are dedicated for riots, we usually have it's called a CDU platoon, which is a civil disturbance unit. Civil disturbance units respond to riots. Well, the officers that are in the civil disturbance units are made up of the officers that patrol. So the officers that are in patrol, we're taking them out of patrol and sending them to these CDU details, which is to prevent anything else bad from happening at the Capitol. So after the Capitol, they put up barriers around the Capitol for about a month, and we had to help Capitol Police man that so nothing else would happen. Nothing else did happen, thank God. But while they were doing that, we had officers in patrol that were still having to take up the slack. If you can understand, if you got 10 officers and you have to put 5 of them there, well, the 5 that are still left have to do the work of 10 officers.
Right.
They still have to, so it puts a stress on our entire department.
Right.
It's not easy for any of us. So it's when we have these incidents happen, it's not fun for us either. Yes, they pay us overtime, but I can guarantee you the officers would rather be home with their families than standing at a post hoping someone doesn't break down a gate for 12
Right.
hours.
Were you guys there during the serial shooting at the Navy Yard?
Yes.
Yeah. How was that?
Yeah. So you're talking about the active shooter.
The active shooter situation,
we
yeah.
were the ones
You were in
who
school.
caught
Who
him.
were caught- you caught him?
and neutralized him, which
Nice.
is another way of saying killed.
She looks at me funny because a lot of this stuff I talk to her about things and my son too, but I don't always let them. Some of the world, like you were saying, like me and most of you don't watch the news. Some of this world they don't need to see. I don't want because I don't want to see it.
So
I wanna go back to the other side of this argument where I've been preaching or kind of asking for cooperation or saying this message of cooperation.
Right.
There is a situation where fear has played a part in some of these deaths. Fear of the police officer, fear of the black man, fear of this situation that they're in, and they're unable to deal with it, or they're unable to, we call it de-escalate it.
Yeah, de-escalation, right.
And de-escalation is more valuable than a gun on your hip. If
No
you can
question.
de-escalate a situation, it is a much better outcome. And with the, I want to say, I forgot his whole name, Castile.
Philando Castile.
So it was a traffic stop. So let's just bring everyone.
Was that in
in.
D.C.? That was in D.C.
No,
that was
in
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Was it Minnesota or in Milwaukee?
It was
or
one
what?
of the M's
It
up
was
north.
So for the people that don't know, he was pulled over on a traffic stop. I forgot what the violation was. When he was pulled over, and I hope I'm telling this correctly, he advised the officer that he was armed.
Yes, he did.
I think he had a girlfriend in the car with
Yeah.
him.
The girlfriend in the
That's
door.
right,
The
that's
girlfriend and
right.
daughter in the backseat. Yeah.
Now, during this interaction, he did the right thing. He let the officers know, hey, I'm armed. He was cooperative. He still ended up dead because of this traffic stop. Why did he end up dead? In my personal opinion, again, why I'm here, the officers didn't handle it right. They were in fear of their lives, or they were in fear of him.
They panicked.
They
What-
did
what-
panic.
what-
They panicked.
They panicked.
I'm gonna
They
get
They
the-
did not. There was a lack of training. It was a lack of.
I was gonna ask that too. With
Yeah,
the training,
But it was the
Training's
one. But that's the
always
same.
an issue.
It's funny you said.
Keith, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
No, Pat summed it up very well. They did panic. They did not handle it well. The training should have enabled them to defuse that situation, and that guy drive away,
Right.
alive, with a violation or no violation, but still alive to talk about what happened. But instead, we're talking about it here on this podcast, the death of another minority or black or brown person at the hands of the police. And this is where I will speak to, I don't want to say in a negative light, but in some police departments, in some jurisdictions, they're scared. You got some, and I'm not just going to say white officers. We have officers in general that are not handling situations in a professional way, in a tactical way that could result in a better outcome, that could have been avoided. Could this situation have been avoided had we done this, or had we? And it's not on that. And again, I'm not going to say it's always honestly, I think 75% of the cases it's lack of cooperation. But in the other incidents, it's police lack of training. It's the fault of the police for this incident to get to the point where someone's dead.